Namaste and welcome to Detours with me Anuradha Goyal, where I talk to some very interesting personalities about journeys of all kinds. Today we are going to take you to the forests of India, to the wildlife, to the nature, and we'll learn something about the people who show you the jungles, who show you the beauty of our forests, not just tigers, not just elephants, not just leopards, but small little creatures who create the ecosystem. And I discovered them through my association with Pugdundee safaris. I happened to stay with them in the jungles of central India, in Nepal, in Pench National Park, and that's where I discovered this new opportunity for people who want to work in travel and tourism space, and that is the opportunity to be a naturalist. So today we have Manav Khanduja from Pugdundee Safaris talking to us about what is this career opportunity of naturalist. Manav, welcome to Detours.
Hi Anuradha.
So Manav, thank you very much for being on Detours, and we want to understand. Let's begin by talking about what is a naturalist. What do I have to do? So tomorrow, if I have to apply for a job to be a naturalist at Pugdundee Safaris, what do you expect me to do?
Hi Anuradha, this is Manav. So I will just take you to who actually is a naturalist.
Mm-hmm.
In simple words, naturalist is an expert in natural history. So some of the popular names you would have heard are Steve Irwin, David Attenborough, and Salim Ali from India.
Right.
In the context of naturalist as a job or a career, naturalists are a little different. They are the people who interpret nature in simple words. Naturalist shares his knowledge with guests or visitors and makes it more exciting and makes it simple to understand.
Right.
Wildlife can be fairly complex, and a naturalist eases that journey and makes it more interesting.
Right.
A naturalist job also involves taking guests out on excursions by jeep, sometimes on cycle, on foot, sometimes on a boat, depending on the park he or she is working in.
So if I'm working as a naturalist with you, how would my day look like, and what are the things that I'm expected to do?
So a naturalist day is fairly long because they start really early in the morning.
Right.
And the naturalist duty starts from giving a wake-up call to the guests. So the previous evening, he or she takes the time when the guest wants to be woken up. And then at the time fixed, they meet the naturalist at the designated spot. And they go out conducting the program which is designed for them. It could be on foot, it could be on jeep. But typically where we operate in central India, most of the excursions are done by safari, by jeep safari.
Right.
So they would head out early in the morning, much before sunrise, and enter the park sometimes as early as 5 a.m. And spend the day almost till about noon looking for wildlife, including tigers, birds, whatever the guest is interested in. And the naturalist also plays a double role in handling the guest in the hospitality side.
Right.
So helping set up the breakfast, checking if they're doing everything well in the lodges. And then they come back for a short break, have the lunch, get ready, and then they go out for the evening excursion.
Okay.
Which could also be a jeep safari, but sometimes the guest may also go out for a walk or just take a break. And post that, then the naturalist also do presentations in the evening.
Yes.
So every naturalist may pick up the favorite topic, including butterflies, snakes, and it's a short presentation, about 30-40 minutes in the conference hall, where the guest can ask questions and understand more. And they show a lot of pictures, mostly from the experience and the images they have collected working in wildlife.
So you're saying essentially they they work as a guide for the guests who visit your lodges, and they and when the guests are not there or when they have an off time, they also kind of help in documenting and chronicling the natural assets of the region they are in.
Yes, absolutely true. The reason they are there in the jungles is that they love being in nature. Mm-hmm. And when there are no guests, that's probably one of the time they're looking forward to, mm-hmm. because then they can go out and learn, right, and document and also take pictures and yes. learn from the other naturalists who are there. So one may be a specialist in snakes, the other may be knowing birds. So share their knowledge, make notes, mm-hmm. and the flora and fauna is continuously changing as per the season.
Yeah, in fact, I must tell you and the listeners that most of the naturalists at Pugdundee safaris that I have interacted with, I follow them on Instagram, and their feeds are absolutely wonderful, refreshing, and help you with a lot of knowledge about the jungles.
That's nice to know.
Yes. Okay, so I know that your naturalists do a great job. You know, I have seen these presentations, and I have, based on the presentations, the earlier evening, we have gone and spotted a lot of those things during safaris. And although you mentioned only jeep safaris and foot safaris, I've done boat safaris also with you at, I think, Satpura.
Yes.
Right. So there is a whole lot of things, but what are the, as an industry, what are the opportunities available for somebody who wants to work as a naturalist? You can also talk about how did you spot this opportunity in the first place?
You know, we were always struggling to find good naturalists because we were making new lodges every year. Mm-hmm. So every year we used to have a struggle finding naturalists. So there are two kinds of naturalists which earlier we used to get. Mm-hmm. The ones who have studied zoology and botany, mm-hmm. they had no field experience.
Right.
The other ones were who have lived in the jungles, who have lived in countryside, who know how to drive a jeep, who probably can identify the big game, but they had no foundation or scientific knowledge.
Right.
So whenever we used to get naturalists, there was something lacking.
Right.
That is the time when we decided that we must have a course like that which can bridge this gap. Mm-hmm. And the people who have already studied bridge the gap, and so that, you know, knowing a subject and sharing a subject are two different things.
Right.
So that's how the idea of this course came about, and it's a fourth year now.
Right.
We've been doing this course.
Okay. And as an industry, what are the opportunities for somebody who takes a training in being a naturalist, spend some time? I mean, I'm assuming that somebody has to spend at least 5 to 6 years in the field to know a particular region. And these people would be region specialists. So somebody who knows the jungles of central India may not be so familiar with, say, some jungles in the southern India or outside India.
True.
So what are the opportunities available for them?
So in the last 8 to 10 years, the ecotourism industry in India has flourished.
Right.
Now we have lodges, resorts, camps in almost all the national parks and biodiversity hotspots in India. Mm-hmm. So a naturalist may not be only restricted to jungles, but there are other places close to the sea, in the mountains, where natural history knowledge is mm-hmm. always an asset.
Right.
So the naturalist can today have a lot of opportunity to join these ecotourism outfits all across India. Mm-hmm. And if they're not looking for a full-time job, there are umpteen opportunities for leading nature-based tours.
Okay.
Which are done by tour operators from big cities, where mm-hmm. they travel with the group and interpret the jungles.
Manav, can you tell us, besides the flora and fauna, what are the other things that can be included in the purview of a naturalist? Can you have like geology, the rocks and the...
Absolutely. Yes. So it is just not restricted to flora and fauna. It is also the knowledge of the history of the park, the local people, tribes, yes. Geology, conservation, which also plays a major role.
Right.
which is probably more important than flora and fauna.
Right.
Conservation is our biggest challenge today.
Right. Great. So, it's also a space in which opportunities need to be created, because people are feeling the distance between nature and them, especially those of us who live in urban areas.
Yes, so the ecotourism outfits are doing their best in bridging that, because now there's a lot of opportunity for guests to go out and stay in almost all the
Right.
parks in India.
But that opportunity comes with a limited number. There is only a certain capacity that a park can take, and they are not open across the seasons. There are seasonality.
True, but you don't need to travel to a big park for something like that. You can even our big cities like Bombay has the
Right.
Borivali National Park, where you can go for walks. Delhi has the rich forest, the Aravalis, where you can go for walks all through the year. You have now biodiversity parks like the Yamuna Biodiversity Park in Delhi. So every city has its and to go out and interact with nature, all you need is probably a great park and a little bit of forest.
Yes, I would say, going forward, maybe we can actually start the afforestation process through these tours. Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. So coming back to naturalists, now what are the qualities of a good naturalist? What kind of people can think of being a naturalist or picking it up as a career option?
So obviously, knowledge of flora and fauna helps. Then a good naturalist also needs to have good guiding skills and guest handling skills. Good English goes a long way in guest handling. And also driving skills are very important, because sometimes the naturalist has to drive for long hours in the park. So also a good naturalist should have discipline, because of the timings and long hours, and the ability to handle all kind of guests. And also we have seen that a great naturalist is one who can also keep a good relation with local people and the forest department, and rather than being a competition, complement their hard work and support them in the bigger goal of conservation. Like I have seen a lot of our naturalists helping the forest department in training local guides, teach in small tribal schools, go out and help the forest department in snake rescue when their manpower has gone somewhere else, or there can be many urgent situations. So naturalists can play all these roles, and not just with guests.
Okay. So Manav, I see two different traits of a naturalist, having interacted with a few of them and with you. One is the inherent qualities that they need, which I see as personality traits. And then second is the learnable attribute, something that can be taught to them.
Absolutely.
Right. So in the inherent, I see one, they need to be absolutely fit, because you need to be very agile and be able to not just navigate the forest, but also help others navigate it. Right.
Absolutely. Fitness plays a big role in being a naturalist.
And second is what I think you need to have an ability to live in an isolated place for a long time without it impacting you in any way. I'm not too sure if many people who've grown up in urban areas would be able to spend long, seasons in the forest. So I would say that also should that also come as a personality trait, or people develop it?
Actually, it's not that difficult, because if you have an affinity towards nature, you start enjoying the place, because for company you have the flora and fauna around, and then the lodges have a large team which are drawn from diverse backgrounds. So there are other naturalists, managers, staff. There is a lot of interaction. And in today's time, everyone is also connected online. So it is not that they're in an isolated spot. Also, in the season, there are interesting guests coming every day, and they come from different backgrounds, from different countries. So there is also a lot to learn from guests and share with them.
And the second thing you mentioned, which is in the learning paradigm, is the command on, you said English, but I would say multiple languages. today it's primarily English that we need, but tomorrow if you want to, cater to a larger audience or cater to, let's say, rich Indians, then the language may play a very big role. Your command on language, your ability to communicate.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? So do you also train them on languages as part of your naturalist training?
No, we do not train them on in languages at the moment, but our training is more based around flora and fauna and guest handling. Guest handling covers also the personality.
Okay. Right. Okay. So let's look at your data. Where do most of your naturalists come from? What kind of backgrounds do they come from?
So what we've seen, our naturalists actually come from all across the country. What I have seen is the naturalists who are most successful are the ones who are from smaller towns. They are from B town, C town, because a naturalist in comparison to today corporate world is not such a paying job. So people from smaller towns, usually, it's not the rule, have lesser expectation. And they also have lesser expenses back home. So they are more satisfied with a lower package.
So that brings me to the question that what kind of a salary can an entry-level naturalist expect? I mean, industry-wide.
So entry-level depends from company to company, also from park to park. But I would say a minimum starting is around entry is about 17 to 20,000, and a senior naturalist may go up to 40 to 50,000. Plus the boarding, lodging, other expenses are all covered by the company. Also, in our industry, there is a lot of honorarium left by the guests, especially. So, so that also adds a fair amount of.
Right. And I see some of them quite enterprising, and they can actually start building a database of their stock photos, which they can, use to earn and pocket money or an additional source of money.
Yes, I am not sure about that because with the coming of digital cameras, monetizing images is almost finished. And there are a lot of free stock images available, especially in wildlife. But what we have seen is many naturalists over the years learn also the hospitality skills. And besides playing the role of a naturalist, they also end up becoming lodge managers. They also become trainers. Many of our managers were junior naturalists at one time. Then they went on to become senior naturalists and trainers. Now they are managers. So their role is around hospitality. But whenever required, they also go to the park. But they speak the language of the team, the language of the jungle. So it's much easier for them.
Great. And what are the opportunities outside the hospitality business, if there are any?
As I mentioned, tour leading is one.
Yeah, but that's also, travel and hospitality outside of that.
So we have seen many of our naturalists who have done MSc in zoology. They go back to research. A lot of them go back to research and further enhancing their knowledge. I would say that's the biggest number of naturalists leaving. That's the reason why the maximum naturalists leave our company.
That's interesting to know. So you're actually adding to the research of the subject. Right.
Yes.
Okay, so let's now come back to the training part. Walk us through what does the training entail? How long is it? How much does it cost? And is it available to everybody or only your employees at the moment?
So our main program is known as ProNat, which is Professional Naturalist Training.
Okay.
Which covers building foundation. So it's basics in birds, butterflies, reptiles, trees, mammals, tracks and signs. Also, we have added first aid in the wild which is necessary if you're living out in the wild.
Right.
Then on the guiding side, we have field guiding. We also have creating a guided nature experience, techniques of guiding. So this is a foundation course, which from here the naturalist can start learning on his own.
How long is this in terms of calendar period?
This program is 21 nights.
Okay.
And with the guiding techniques, it's 24 nights.
Okay.
And the program is based in Satpura Tiger Reserve.
Okay.
And our next program is in November this year, and it cost about 75,000 rupees.
Okay. And anybody can apply for it?
Anyone can apply for it, yes.
Okay. And what's like the maximum number of people you take?
So 18 is the maximum students we take.
Okay. And then they are free to either join you or join anybody else?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Right.
So
what about the next level? What about the next level of training after the ProNat?
So after the ProNat, then the trainings are a lot specific with senior naturalist.
Okay.
That is while working.
Okay.
Because you want to specialize.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. Do they get more specialized?
Yeah, they get more specialized working with the senior naturalist on the field.
Okay.
But we also have a course which is after ProNat, we realized that a lot of people just want to learn about wildlife, to not make a career, but they want to know about wildlife.
Okay.
There are a lot of nature and wildlife enthusiasts across the country. So we launched a shorter program for 5 nights, which is called Amateur Naturalist Training.
Amateur Naturalist Training, okay.
Which is just a 5-night program, and it's really successful.
Okay. And this is for enthusiasts?
Absolutely, yes.
And 5 nights, and how much would roughly this cost?
It's about 35,000.
And this includes your boarding, lodging, and everything?
Yes, everything is included. And there's a panel of experts, residents, and there are subject specialists.
Okay, and it's all available on your website?
Yes.
So for our listeners, we are going to provide links to all these opportunities available for you to do these courses. That brings me to the final question, Manav.
Yeah.
I have been reading a lot of Sanskrit scriptures lately.
Okay.
And they are full of descriptions of flora, fauna, and every possible thing in the jungle. Every kind of tree, a small plant, even grass, everything.
Yeah.
Simply full of. And they obviously talk about a particular region.
Yeah.
So if let's say the jungles of Kanha are being described, then of course it'll be woven into a story, but there will be a detailed description. Even if there is a description of a lotus pond, every possible variety of lotus or a lily present there is described.
Okay.
It took me a lot of time to actually sit and figure out that, this is the name of a blue lotus. An Indivar is a blue lotus, or an Utpal is a blue lotus, or a Pundarik is a white lotus. Those kind of things. And I was wondering, would you want to do this kind of a mapping and say, so this kind of gives the antiquity of the forest, that our 2,000-year-old scriptures also describe this jungle in this way. And maybe we will discover some things that are missing from that land, or we've lost it over a period of time, and probably an opportunity to revive them.
Absolutely. This would be really interesting to do. Actually, there is so much in nature that every year we are learning, we are discovering.
Yes.
And we've just scratched the surface. Absolutely.
So, Manav, when I wrote about this program of yours, and which gets a huge response, which I keep redirecting to your team, this is a rare innovation that I spotted in the travel, tourism, hospitality space in India, which continues to be riddled with selling rooms and flights and tour packages. Okay, this is like creating a new space which not just connects you to the place, but it also creates opportunities for a lot of youngsters to earn their livelihood. You've literally created a new career stream. Right. So I want you to go back to that moment when you first thought of this opportunity, and tell us, how did you convert it into a program? Because I want you to inspire a lot of youngsters into thinking in a way that it creates opportunities, it creates new products.
See, Anuradha, when we have a problem, we all have problems in all our fields.
Right.
So we need to find a solution for it, and sometimes the solutions are very, very simple.
Yes.
So during our time, we used to do an in-house training, which we did for many years.
Mm-hmm.
And the mistake we used to do was we used to hire the naturalist first,
mm-hmm.
and then train them.
Mm-hmm.
And later to realize that he or she does not fit into this world.
Mm-hmm.
Probably they want to live in cities. Probably
mm-hmm.
this is not what they opted for. The basic knowledge is limited.
Mm-hmm.
So for a long time, the complete industry was struggling with naturalist, and I also used to get a lot of requests from other companies that if you have any naturalist, please suggest.
Mm-hmm.
So I was discussing one day with my trainers and said, let's create something
mm-hmm.
where we can offer this to all the youngsters,
mm-hmm.
and we need not make any monetary gain out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So when we launched the program, our sole objective was to get more naturalists and create more job opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And even today, this is not a profit-making venture for us,
mm-hmm.
because we want to encourage more and more people to come into the field.
Mm-hmm.
The benefit which comes out to us is that we are able to get great trained youngsters who want to work in the field of conservation, wildlife.
Great, Manav, and I hope you continue to deepen your offerings in the space of nature to the people who travel to your lodges. Keep creating new paths for the industry, and keep creating new opportunities for the youngsters in India and maybe world over. Thank you so much for innovating this. But the last question is from your last thing you said, these men and women. So tell us, how many women are there in the Naturalist?
When we started, there were very few women in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, when we did our first pronat,
mm-hmm.
half the students were women.
Okay.
So which was great.
Which is encouraging.
Which is absolutely encouraging. And we currently also have 3 lady naturalists
mm-hmm.
who work in our lodges.
Okay. Do you see any challenges for women naturalists vis-a-vis men?
Absolutely none. Okay. I think they're doing great.
Okay.
They're doing absolutely wonderful. They have the benefit of better guest handling, I would say.
Yeah, it comes naturally to them.
Absolutely. It comes. Right. Also, in terms of innovation, we've also just last week launched something called Work from Wilderness.
Oh, yes, I saw that. And I was quite tempted to take that.
You're welcome. So we saw this opportunity because of COVID. Everyone's working from home and are not able to go out on regular holidays.
Right.
So we thought, let people come out in nature, in wilderness spaces, and work from there.
Right. Great. Manav, thank you so much for sharing insights about Naturalist. And I hope some more people will discover about this program through this podcast. Thank you so much, and wish you all the best for all your future endeavors.
Thank you so much, Anuradha, for doing this. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Detours. You can also join us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Our handle is IndiTales, IndiTales. See you soon.